Good, happy Tuesday morning. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's get started. Today is December 10, 2019. First up, Jewett Street classes moved after water pipe breaks. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We feel that if a customer wants their product and they're ambitious and they want to do it today, if we have it here in stock, we have the people, the trucking, and why put off till tomorrow what you can do today.
Visit us at powellstone.com.
Students at Manchester's Jewett Street School will have classes off-site for much of this week because of damage caused by a broken water pipe. Classes will be held at the Boys and Girls Club on Union Street until the school reopens. There will be transportation provided each morning to and from the Southside Middle School gym, but there will be no preschool classes until Jewett reopens.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. School board takes action on former Native American mascot at Merrimack Valley High School. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Landowners, it's time for special year-end savings from Mahindra, the world's #1 seller.
At the center of tonight's school board meeting at Merrimack Valley High School, the fate of the school's old mascot, a Native American. 15 years ago, it was replaced by a lion, but some have raised concerns, saying the original mascot reemerged during the school's 50th anniversary. That, despite what school officials say.
The imagery and the artifacts have always existed at Merrimack Valley High School, even in the wake of the mascot change.
The Native American logo can be found in various places inside the high school.
Incredibly proud to say I played for the Merrimack Valley Indians. I wish the alumni to be allowed to honor that.
We're creating a new narrative which is no longer honoring the Indian. It's making it into a racist symbol, which it's really not, and never has been.
Tonight, those against that mascot asked the school board to permanently remove it.
Our headdresses are very sacred to us. Each feather is earned. You have it on the floor as a mockery.
It's also important that our children are served by adults who understand the difference between intent and impact. Intention does not absolve anyone from impact.
School officials took a number of actions. They voted to remove the Native American logo from gym banners, but it will remain in the Hall of Fame, as well as outside banners for 1 month a year. Next year, the public will decide the fate of the gym floor, which has 2 Indian logos on it. The school board also voted to create a history room that would contain Native American school artifacts, and they also voted to ask the curriculum committee to add content in school education on local indigenous history. In Petticoat, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Concord School Board Interim Superintendent update public on new safety policies. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
Landowners, It's time for special year-end savings from Mahindra, the world's #1 selling.
Unfortunately, this huge black hole of knowledge in our community.
We're not going to be able to move on until some of those things are addressed.
Parents in Concord say they want to move forward after months of unrest in the school district, but are still waiting for answers over the handling of allegations of sexual misconduct against former teacher Howie Leung. Years before his arrest, student Anna Goebel came forward with concerns about Leung's behavior towards some students, but was suspended. Her mom says it's something her daughter still deals with.
I think we need to start calling what happened last year what it was. And it was sexual assault, it was rape.
The board says it can't release more information due to legal concerns of privacy. Tonight, the interim superintendent said the district is taking steps to ensure safety, including entering into a memorandum of understanding with Concord Police, requiring school officials to immediately inform police if an alleged crime has taken place in a school zone.
Obviously, we're very concerned about communication, protocols, making sure that we have the right kind of programs in place for folks to know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. We had a whole series of strategic plans we put into play.
Those include more training for staff and students on trauma and reporting incidents. And now the district is also looking to hire a compliance officer and Title IX coordinator to work part-time at the high school to make sure issues are addressed as well. Live in Concord, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News Now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Woman originally charged with negligent homicide sentenced for misdemeanor DWI. Victim's family blames police for handling of investigation. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
We feel that if a customer wants their product and they're ambitious and they want to do it today, if we have it here in stock, we have the people, the trucking, and why put off till tomorrow what you can do today.
Visit us at powellstone.com.
Don Barcelona isn't going to jail. The 58-year-old from Salisbury, Massachusetts, convicted and sentenced on a misdemeanor DWI charge, not for negligent homicide as she was initially charged. Barcelona was driving a Jeep on Ocean Boulevard near the Seabrook-Salisbury line in October 2018 when it struck 51-year-old Andrew Dobson, who was walking home from a store. She failed a field sobriety test, but an expert team had not been sent to reconstruct the accident. The state ultimately dropping the felony charges for lack of evidence. Dobson's family demanding answers.
We are very disappointed, highly disappointed, in the unprofessionalism of the Seabrook Police Department and the state police, who gave a joint statement with big holes and gaping holes in that statement. It's unbelievable.
The victim's family wasn't allowed to give impact statements, though Barcelona addressed them in court.
I apologize for your loss and sorry for everything that's happened.
Dobson's family believes she should be in jail, calling the case a disgrace and nothing short of a nightmare.
To answer questions from everybody that loved my brother and was friends with my brother, and to see the looks on their face, but most importantly, his 12-year-old boy who doesn't have a father anymore because of this.
Barcelona has been fined $1,000 with $500 suspended and will lose her license for up to 1 year. We're live in Brentwood. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. House of Worship trained on how to deal with emergencies. Focus given to active shooter situations and other emergencies. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
customers will call in or email in and just tell us that I was at the store, and from the beginning of the sale till the delivery, it was a great experience. And as a business owner, that's what we strive for.
Visit us at powellstone.com.
Keeping the congregation safe while keeping the front door open is a challenge facing houses of worship all over the country. Monday in Concord, about 80 people from dozens of congregations of different faiths across the state learned how best to deal with all types of emergencies.
These are soft targets, and unfortunately they start adding in layers of prejudice, hate crimes, etc. And churches, synagogues, mosques, any house of worship, by definition, could be vulnerable to the worst elements of our society.
Houses of worship of all faiths have been targets of violence across the U.S. There was gunfire at a church in Pelham in October. Richard Cohen is co-chairman of security at Temple Beth Abraham in Nashua. They were recently given a $20,000 federal grant to upgrade temple security.
Most houses of worship want to maintain their open doors, be welcoming, be there to help the people who need help. But unfortunately now there has to be a balance between openness and security.
While a lot of attention was paid today to dealing with a violent, active threat, those who were presenting here today said that emergency preparedness means much more than just that.
We've seen the active shooter situations, etc. What about those medical emergencies? What about financial cyber situations that affect our houses of worship across New Hampshire? So one of the things that we talk about is it's not if something happens in New Hampshire, it's when.
Christensen says simple things like first aid kits and well-lit exits are simple things that can make a big difference when a crisis hits. In Concord, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for today, December 10, 2019. We have 2 candidates in New Hampshire today. Let's talk about the first candidate, John Delaney. 10,000 small businesses candidate forum at Manchester Community College in Manchester, New Hampshire at 2:30 p.m. And also Tulsi Gabbard has one event today in New Hampshire. SEA/SEIU Local 1984 Town Hall in Concord, New Hampshire at 5:30 p.m. And those are the 2 candidates in New Hampshire today. U.S. features point to a slightly higher open. U.S. stock index features were slightly higher Tuesday morning. No evidence of witch hunt against Trump, DOJ Inspector General said. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
We begin tonight with the high-stakes report out today. President Trump has long claimed a deep state that he was spied on. Tonight, the Inspector General's report finally out into the origins of the Russia investigation, and the report finding no anti-Trump bias, saying the investigation's launch was justified. Tonight here, we are one-on-one with the president's own hand-picked FBI director, Christopher Wray, and we ask about claims of a deep state and what the Inspector General also found, some, quote, errors and omissions when it came to applying for surveillance. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leading us off tonight with the report and the one-on-one.
After years of President Trump calling it a deep state, saying the FBI was anti-Trump when it launched an investigation into possible ties between his campaign and Russia, tonight the long-awaited independent report, the Justice Department's Inspector General, revealing there was no evidence of a witch hunt, determining the FBI had enough evidence pointing to either a federal crime or a threat to national security, or both, to justify the probe at the height of the election. and that the agents who made the final decision to launch the investigation were not influenced by political bias. The president has long said his campaign was illegally spied on, even suggesting former President Obama had wiretapped him.
It was illegal spying, unprecedented spying.
This was an attempted coup. I would say that President Obama had to know about it.
But the Inspector General says FBI officials made serious errors and omissions in applying for surveillance warrants to monitor the communications of a Trump campaign associate, Carter Page, adding agents failed to meet the basic obligation to ensure the applications were scrupulously accurate. They did not tell DOJ attorneys about information that may have weakened their case for surveillance. The president pounced.
This was an overthrow of government. This was an attempted overthrow, and a lot of people were in on it.
But tonight, the president's hand-picked FBI director, Christopher Wray, saying there was no deep state. As far as you know, based on the findings in the Inspector General report, is the FBI, was it part of some deep state?
Well, I think that's the kind of label that is a disservice to the 37,000 men and women who work at the FBI. That's not a term I would ever use to describe our workforce, and I think it's an affront to them.
The president's defenders have accused FBI agents of conspiring against him, pointing to anti-Trump text messages. But the IG report also found other agents exchanging pro-Trump messages at the same time, and later celebrating the 2016 election. Do you have any evidence that the FBI targeted the Trump campaign unfairly?
I don't.
But Wray acknowledges mistakes were made.
There are actions described in this report that I consider unacceptable and unrepresentative. I am ordering over 40 corrective actions to address all of those things in a way that's robust and serious. And we're determined to learn the lessons from this report and make sure the FBI emerges from this even better and stronger.
Pierre Thomas with the one-on-one tonight, and he joins us live from outside the FBI headquarters. And Pierre, tonight we know Attorney General William Barr, really in a move similar to what he's done in the past, he's now speaking out against the findings of an independent investigation and siding with the president tonight.
David, tonight Barr is blasting the Russia probe's origins, saying the Justice Department and the FBI launched an intrusive investigation of a U.S. presidential campaign on the thinnest of suspicions that were insufficient to justify the steps taken. Barr has launched a separate investigation that is now criminal. But the FBI director telling me today he agrees with the IG's finding that the launch was in fact legal. David?
Pierre Thomas leading us off. And Pierre, we know the Inspector General will be before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Wednesday facing questions from both sides, and we'll be there too.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.